Tilda awoke to find her bed wet. She was shocked and confused. Once upon a time there lived a very wealthy man named Chief Ofosu Johnson, his wife named Matlida Selicum, and their daughter Tilda. Chief Ofosu Johnson was a beacon of humility and generosity in his community. Despite his immense wealth, he dedicated himself to helping those in need, paying school fees for children whose families couldn't afford them, and covering hospital bills for the sick and injured. Chief Ofosu Johnson's kindness knew no bounds, and his acts of charity make his people to love him. He believed that true wealth lay in the happiness and well-being of others, and he spared no effort in making a positive impact on the lives of those around him. However, his wife Matlida Selicum and their daughter Tilda did not share his benevolent spirit. They often tried to stop Chief Ofosu Johnson from helping others, arguing that they should focus on their own comfort and luxury instead. But Chief Ofosu Johnson remained steadfast in his convictions, refusing to turn a blind eye to the suffering of his people. As Chief Ofosu Johnson continued his acts of kindness, his daughter Tilda grew more spoiled by her mother's indulgence. She felt too important to associate with people she deemed beneath her, ignoring her father's advice to live a good life. Despite Chief Ofosu Johnson's efforts to guide her, Tilda remained stubborn, always supported by her mother. In her arrogance, things were when Tilda dropped out of university, a decision that broke her father's heart. He had hoped she would embrace education and contribute positively to society, but it seemed beyond his influence to change her path. Despite his disappointment, Chief Ofosu Johnson couldn't bring himself to disown his daughter, for she was the only child he had. There was a grand celebration that Chief Ofosu Johnson organized every year, inviting people from his village and neighboring villages. He cherished these gatherings deeply, for he remembered all too well the days when he struggled to put food on the table, praying for blessings from above. But despite his attempts to convey this heartfelt sentiment to his wife and daughter, they remained indifferent to his humble beginnings on that particular day. As the festivities reached their peak, an elderly woman arrived at Chief Ofosu Johnson's party, her weary eyes reflecting a lifetime of hardship. She had come late and the food was nearly gone, but Chief Ofosu Johnson's heart was as generous as ever. Turning to his daughter Tilda, he asked her to serve the last meal to the elderly woman. Tilda hesitated, but reluctantly she accepted her father's request. As she approached the elderly woman with the plate in hand, a wave of discomfort washed over her as the old woman reached out her hand. Tilda carelessly poured the food onto her, causing the woman to gasp in shock and start crying. The guests and Chief Ofosu Johnson were stunned, and Chief Ofosu Johnson felt deeply embarrassed by his daughter's actions. Instead of joining Chief Ofosu Johnson and the others in apologizing to the old woman, Matlida Selikem made excuses claiming it wasn't her daughter's fault and that she almost fell, causing the food to spill. Though Chief Ofosu Johnson didn't believe her, he and the others still went ahead and apologized to the old woman, who accepted their apology. Chief Ofosu Johnson then gave the old woman some food and money, hoping to make amends for his daughter's behavior. But even as she left, the old woman looked unhappy, leaving Chief Ofosu Johnson with a heavy heart and a sense of shame for his daughter's actions. The next day, Chief Ofosu Johnson gathered his wife, Matlida Selikem, and their daughter Tilda in the grand
hall of their palace. He spoke with a mix of disappointment and determination, saying, Matlida Selikim, can't you see how spoiled Tilda has become? I've worked hard to provide for us, yet you both take it for granted. Matlida Selikim looked taken aback, but Chief Ofosu continued, I've tried my best to make you both happy, but you don't appreciate it. You need to learn humility and gratitude with a heavy heart. He made a difficult decision from this day forward. He declared, his voice ringing with authority, I will no longer tolerate such ingratitude and entitlement. Tilda, I am cutting your allowance and forbidding you from using any of my cars. Tilda's eyes widened in shock, and Matlida Salikum gasped in disbelief. Tilda, feeling defensive, exclaimed, I regret the day you met my mother and married her. She exclaimed, her voice lacered with anger. What's the point of having all this money if I can't even use it to take care of myself? Chief Ofosu Johnson's voice grew stern as he addressed Tilda. If you want anything I've taken away, then go and work for it, young lady. Stop depending on me for money. I won't always be here for you. It's time you took responsibility for yourself. Find a man who will marry you because I'm tired of your attitude. I've done my best, but enough is enough. Matlida Silikem, unable to contain her frustration any longer, interjected, enough of Fosu Johnson. You've gone too far cutting her off and then pushing her into marriage. You're being unreasonable. We're leaving with that. She gathered Tilda and Stowe formed out of the room, leaving Chief Fosu Johnson alone with his thoughts, his heart heavy with disappointment and regret. One fateful day, as Tilda was strolling with her fan, a sleek Range Rover pulled up beside them, catching their attention with its luxurious appearance. From the driver's seat emerged a very handsome, a man impeccably dressed and oozing confidence. With a charming smile, he introduced himself as Kojo Wins, the son of Chief Kofi from the neighboring village. In engaging in lively conversation, Tilda and Kojo Wins quickly found a connection, exchanging laughs and stories as if they had known each other for ages. Before parting ways, they exchanged contacts, promising to keep in touch. With a wave, Kojo Wins drove off in his impressive car, leaving Tilda feeling exhilarated and hopeful for what the future might hold. Unable to contain her excitement, Tilda turned to her friend with a triumphant grin, declaring, You see, I told you one day I'll marry one of the richest men in the world. Her friend offered a word of caution. Tilda, don't be too quick to jump to conclusions. He didn't even ask you to be his girlfriend yet. But Tilda's confidence remained unshaken as she responded, I know my husband when I see him. This man we just met is the one for me. Her heart danced with anticipation at the thought of a life beyond her father's house, filled with luxury and adventure, alongside her newfound love. When Tilda got home, she excitedly shared the news with her mother, Mrs. Afosu. Mrs. Afosu was thrilled to hear that her daughter had found someone from their social class. She had always hoped Tilda would marry someone of their status. Tilda and Kojo Wins began talking more frequently, and before they knew it, they were officially dating. Just 3 months into their relationship, Kojo Wins proposed to Tilda, and she joyfully accepted. Their wedding became one of the grandest events the village had ever seen. With tears of joy, Tilda bid farewell to her family and friends as she followed her husband to his village. She was filled with excitement for the new chapter of her life with Kojo Wins. When they arrived at Kojo Wins's house, everything seemed to be going smoothly until after a few weeks, Kojo Wins asked Tilda to prepare a delicious meal for him and his friends who were coming over to his place. Tilda was shocked by the request, and when Kojo Wins noticed her hesitation, he asked, Are you okay, Relu? Tilda nodded, but inside she was panicking. She couldn't cook. Growing up, she had been spoiled by her mother, who had always taken care of such tasks. As soon as Kojo Wins left, Tilda's hands began to shake with anxiety. Quickly, she dialed her mother's number, hoping for guidance, but to her dismay, her mother had forgotten her phone at home and had gone to the market. Instead, her father, Mr. Ofosu Johnson, answered the call. As Mr. Ofosu Johnson picked up the call, surprised to hear her father's voice, Tilda immediately asked, Where is my mother? Her father explained where her mother had gone, but Tilda felt disappointed when Mr. Fosu Johnson asked why she was quiet. She said nothing, and hung up. Feeling determined to tackle the challenge on her own, Tilda decided to cook based on what she remembered. When Kojo Wins arrived with his friends, she proudly served them the meal she had prepared. However, Kojo Wins was surprised to discover that his wife couldn't cook as they tasted her dish. They couldn't hide their disappointment. The food was so salty and tasteless that Kojo Wins's friends left feeling unsatisfied. Leaving Kojo Wins embarrassed by his wife's cooking, Tilda apologized to her husband, assuring him it was a mistake and promised it wouldn't happen again. Kojo Wins accepted her apology and they settled into bed for the night. However, in the middle of the night, Kojo Wins woke up feeling something wet on his body. Switching on the light, he discovered the bed was soaked with urine. Shocked, he immediately woke Rose up when she saw what had happened. Tilda was taken aback and embarrassed. It was the first time she had ever experienced such a situation, and she couldn't shake off the feeling of confusion and shame. Seeing his wife crying and ashamed, Kojo Wins held her close and reassured her, telling her to stop crying and that it was okay. He reasoned that perhaps she was stressed, considering it had never happened before. They returned to bed, hoping it was just a one time occurrence. However, the next night, the same thing happened again, and it continued night after night for 3 long months. Kojo Wins couldn't bear it any longer. He was tired of having to dry the foam mattress outside every morning. Finally, unable to endure it any further, Kojo Wins made the difficult decision to send Tilda packing back to her parents' house. When Mr. Ofosu and his wife saw their daughter with her luggages, they were shocked and immediately asked her what had happened. Tilda explained everything to them, leaving them surprised and confused. This had never happened when she was living with them before. Curious as to why Tilda hadn't told them sooner, they asked her. Tilda confessed that she didn't know how to bring it up and didn't want to bother them with her troubles. Mr. Ofosu Johnson, desperate to find a solution for his daughter's problem, sought help from various native doctors, but none could provide a solution. This left them devastated. As the news spread throughout the village, some of the villagers began to mock Tilda whenever she ventured outside, calling her Madame Urine. This was a stark contrast to how Tilda had treated them in the past, as she had always looked down on them due to her perceived higher status. Faced with the ridicule and humiliation, Tilda withdrew from public life, refusing to go out. However, one day, while Mr. Ofosu Johnson was in the neighboring village seeking solutions for his daughter's problem, he encountered a man of God who sensed his weariness. Intrigued, the man of God called Mr. Ofosu Johnson over and asked him about his troubles. Chief Ofosu Johnson poured out his heart, explaining everything to the man of God. After listening to Mr. Ofosu Johnson's plight, the man of God reassured him there is nothing God cannot do. He then requested to be taken to Mr. Ofosu Johnson's house, where they found Tilda. As soon as the man of God laid eyes on Tilda, he uttered words that sent shivers down her spine. "You should remember what you did to someone years ago," he said, his tone grave, confused, and curious. Tilda denied any wrongdoing, insisting she hadn't offended anyone. Suddenly, Chief Ofosu's memory was jolted. "Oh, yes, I remember," he exclaimed, recalling a past incident at one of his annual parties. He recounted the events, including the apology they had extended to the offended old woman who had claimed to have forgiven them. However, the man of God sighed deeply. "She never forgave you," he revealed, his words heavy with truth. "In fact, she was deeply embarrassed by your daughter's actions and laid a curse upon her." Turning to Tilda, he declared, "My daughter, she is the cause of your problem. You must find her and apologize. If not, you will remain like this for the rest of your life." The revelation left them all shocked and speechless. Matlida Selikem regretting why she hadn't instilled more humility in her daughter like her husband had. Dear viewers, are you eager to discover what happens next in Tilda's journey? Do you want to find out if she ever confronts the old woman responsible for her troubles? Let us know by commenting. Continue below. Don't miss out on part 2 of this captivating story. Subscribe and turn on notifications to be the first to watch. When we release the next installment, your support means the world to us. African Tales by Ofosu Hene.